All right, next on the agenda are action items. First is the presentation of invoices for April 2018.
Motion to approve the invoice in the amount of $1,441,770.29 dated May 17, 2018.
Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Next item is student activities report for April 2000, treasurer's report, I'm sorry. We don't need to talk one. Treasurer's report for April 2018. I'll entertain a motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented in your packet.
So
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Fred, why don't you step us through the memo, please?
Yes, certainly. For the month of April, we collected just over $3 million and expended $6.5 million, ending the month at $9,147,000 in cash, including $22 million of tax anticipation warrants. Some might say, well, why do I have $22 million of tax anticipation warrants when we still have $9 million in the bank? Most of those funds are restricted funds and cannot be used for daily operations such as capital projects, debt service. With all of that, we ended the month with a negative fund balance of $12.8 million. We did collect more revenue in the month than we anticipated. We did get our second, we kind of talked about this before, but it's now on the report official. We did get our second mandatory categorical payment. So we've received to date what we're expecting to get from the state. So if we get anything between now and June 30th, that will be an addition to what we expected. And tomorrow is our lowest cash point in for the entire year. And we're set and ready to go make it through that. And I'll entertain any questions people might have.
So that's an additional $2 million TAW draw.
Yes, we took on yesterday, we took $2 million to ensure we make it through the low point. If you look, we are revenue to date, we have collected a little more than prior year, but as you know, our largest revenue for us is taxes, and we won't get any taxes until May 24th. And so we needed to fund payroll, which is tomorrow, and so that's our big cash crunch, and that payroll and payables, accounts payables. And then we'll get taxes in on the 24th.
Do you have an indication yet of what the first tax payment will be?
No.
This is just an estimate?
Yeah, this is an estimate based on where we think we'll be.
June 20th, you have MCATs listed, but you don't have anything in there. That's because we're not expecting anything, or you just don't know what it would be?
No, I'm not. At this point, we went ahead and removed it because I'm just not sure the state will make another payment. So from their mind, they've given us 2 from last year and 2 for this year. We ought to be happy, right? That's 4. 2 and 2 is 4. You got to be happy with that. So I'm just thinking they're probably not going to get any more.
You haven't got any feedback from the county that collection rates have been fine tax-wise? That can be a big surprise.
I mean, they're saying that they've definitely had some, but, I reached out to them, trying to get them to quantify that. Really was not a lot of response back, so we're going to know shortly.
So if this cash flow projection holds, which it looks like it will, you've drawn 24 million of the 27?
We've drawn 24, that's all we're going to draw. And if it holds, we will then begin making repayments. And so we do have 3 tax payments have been scheduled by Will County. So we'll be getting 24, not 25th on the schedule. It actually turned out to be the 24th, 24th, June 8th, and June 23rd, I believe. So we should have about 14 million of actual payments made towards our TAWs by June 30th, leaving us with about 9.5 million outstanding, which is a good improvement over prior years.
Have you started any discussions about the warrants for next year?
What we have, I've just finished the cash flow for next year, and we're in the process of scheduling a meeting with Old Second right now, so.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I mean, we have expenditures being pretty much on target and within budget. Are there any adjustments to any specific categories or anything that we have to be making before the end of the year? Or are we looking at anything along those lines?
For expenditures?
Yeah, like a line item adjustment or anything?
Right. At this point, I don't anticipate any. We can certainly, I'll take another look at that. And I'll take another look. I've got to refresh my memory on the state law, make sure that it's 10% within the categories. I want to make sure we're doing what categories, so we can take a look at that.
Great question. Anything else?
Because we would have to do that with the next meeting.
Correct.
Anything else? If not, we have a motion and a second. Vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you, Brad. Next, student activities report for April 2018. And entertain a motion to accept student activities report as presented in your package. So there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion?
Yeah, just briefly, we had revenues of 516, roughly $517,000, expenditures of 620. You can see that we do have a few accounts that went into the negative. Boys lacrosse and Central Wrestling were back in positives as of this date, and then Kelly will be working with the ADs and West Administration to get these other ones cleaned up. The Rose Bowl concert fundraiser account has been set up. The transfer of funds from the district performance band account to the Rose Bowl concert fundraiser account was done in May. Therefore, it's not reflected in this report.
Do we know how Rose Bowl ticket sales are going for the concert?
For the concert, my last update was just over 500. This is a big weekend as they will be selling right next to the triple play tickets that go on sale Saturday at Village Hall. So we'll have a better indication after Saturday. It's a good day.
There's one thing I got to, following up on that concert for the Rose Bowl Parade. We've entered in and bound for coverage for the special event liability and liquor as the board directed. So that application is all ready to go. So,
Do you remember how much that cost?
3,800 plus-ish. We just processed the check, have that actually, we had to enclose payment, so the application's all done, everything, we've spoke with the carrier, everything's all ready to go, but they wouldn't accept the application until we actually process the check. So we'll mail that tomorrow.
How much coverage did that give us? Do you recall that?
Off the top of my head, I don't, but we took the maximum limits allowed for that coverage.
Okay. I thought we were looking for 2 million, so.
It wasn't a million, I think we went to 2 million.
What's Skills USA?
Skills USA is our vocational ed. It's an activity.
Actually, I think the team did pretty well, if I remember.
Yes, they have.
Welding.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do welding and carpentry. Welding, carpentry.
Yeah, right.
Anything else regarding the student activity report? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Next, personnel report. Rob.
Good evening. Under employment, we have Terrence Land is a bus driver. Nick Schweiger is a teacher in our career and technical education department. Maggie Gruska, a Spanish teacher in our world language department. Sienna Crosby, a Spanish teacher in our world language department. And Angela Johnson as a kitchen supervisor at Lincoln Way West. As the board to approve the employment report as presented.
Entertain a motion to accept the employment report as presented.
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Vote, please.
Vote is open. The vote is unanimous, the motion passes.
Rob?
Under resignations, Kelly Byrne, swim coach. Megan Januszewski, cheer coach. Katie Sanchez, social worker. Anna Samis, secretary. And Maria Wilson, science club sponsor. Ask the board to approve these resignations as presented.
Is there a motion to accept the resignations as presented?
So moved.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions? Hearing none, vote please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous, the motion passes.
Thank you. Thanks, Rob. Next on the agenda is the adoption of the proposed school handbook changes.
Have in the back of materials, and this was also from the last meeting, the proposed handbook changes that have also gone through the District 210 advisory. Either myself or James Doyle would be able to answer any questions that there may be, but I'd ask that you approve the changes as presented.
Motion to accept the changes as presented.
So moved.
Motion and second. Any discussion on the changes? Hearing none, I'll open for vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous, the motion passes.
Thank you. Next, student fees for the 2018-2019 school year.
There are two items on here. The first deals with activity fees that the board has discussed. The second would be a transportation fee. The board can kind of go in either order to discuss what we did put on. We included the fees that were charged this year for both sports and/or activities. I placed a memo on today because I wanted the updated figures of the amounts outstanding for today, as well as fees collected for next school year. It would be the recommendation of the administration to go ahead and assess a $50 participation fee for all students. You don't have to do that. If the board would want to do what we did this past year, we certainly can make that work. If the board doesn't want to assess a fee, that's fine as well. But those are the options, and I guess open for discussion, and then the administration will take whatever direction the board so chooses.
Questions or comments regarding the fees that are presented in the backup materials?
The administration is recommending the $50 participation fee.
We would, based upon our discussion and the discussion of District 210 advisory.
Or what number was budgeted for?
Well, for this last year or going forward? Going forward, in the 5 we kept in there what was the
activity fee?
Yeah, about the 135.
So we charge roughly 135 this year.
It'd be about 134, would be around 134,000.
And if we went to the $50, it'd be 3 times.
Approximately, yeah, 310 to 315.
We don't factor into it all the time it takes to do all the individual collections and invoicing for activity by activity by activity.
We did, it was cumbersome but doable. And as we had anticipated with yearbook sales, it's typically when all the payments get caught up. So as you can see, outstanding, we're at a total of, let's see. For athletics, we're still, 9,000, and activities just 4,500.
I'm still in the vote if it's a participation fee, it should only be charged to people participating, not just assessed across the board.
Any other thoughts? Comments? Suggestions?
With the advisory as far as
Get a motion and a second regarding one of the options here. The two options I would see them would be the per activity / athletics fee, or the other would be the flat $50 per student fee.
same amount, is that what?
For the
will be
50
For the the same that we collected this year, is that what that?
That's what's in the backup material. I don't think anybody was proposing changing that. Because again, that's what was in the 5 so it's kind of what, at least for the short term, committed to. So is there a motion for either proposal? Or any additional discussion? I don't want to. So,
Can you speak up, please?
Sorry about that. I'd make a motion to approve the $50 flat fee, activity fee, $50 flat fee. Participation fee.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote on the $50 flat participation fee.
Let me just put that in there, please. All right. The vote is open. All right. The ayes are Mrs. Glass, Ms. Janice Doyle, Mr. Lulo, Mr. Janet. The noes are Mr. Lucetti and Mr. Kirking. The motion passes.
Okay. So the administration recommendation for a $50 participation fee was passed by a 4-2 vote. Okay. Next on the agenda is the Will County one cent.
We still have the transportation.
Yeah, I'm trying to rush. My apologies.
Yeah, so we did also include some information on a transportation fee as discussed in the last meeting. Brad presented kind of an overview, did a questionnaire with other districts, so we would happy to discuss any questions or thoughts regarding the transportation fee.
So in here is an actual proposal or recommendation for the charge for students that would utilize transportation that live less than 1.5 miles close to the school. Correct. It's very poorly worded, so I apologize.
Maybe it helps. I think maybe you should explain that.
Okay, so to offer transportation to students for an annual fee of $360 per student to those students that currently do not qualify for transportation. If you live within 1.5 miles of the school and you're not in a categorized hazardous zone, then the district does not currently have to offer transportation to those students. In our comparison analysis of other districts, that was something that we did see with a number of districts. So those students that live from a block to 1.5 miles away, that they would charge anywhere between a couple $100 to $500 maybe to transport those students. We did not see any districts that do a fee for just general ridership.
Mokino did, and then they just got rid of it, right? You said that, Stevie? They just wanted to get rid of it?
I think they're voting to, at least when I went to register my daughter for kindergarten, they were saying there wasn't going to be any fees for transportation next year. I don't think that's correct.
You would talk to their business manager.
That's correct.
Okay.
So based on the 1.5 mile ring around the schools and the hazardous zone qualifications, how many students actually are we transporting now?
Zero.
Zero. Okay, so this would be 0 times any number gives us 0 revenue.
There's like 120 students in that.
Eligible.
But none of the 120 at this point, to the best of our knowledge, take advantage.
So this is basically giving an option to people who are within a mile and a half to actually ride the bus. Right now, we don't provide the transportation.
Correct.
But since we don't get reimbursed, we would charge a fee for it.
Thank you.
The fee you're recommending is
$360, which is the average of the 5 feet.
And will that be enough cost to pick up those kids on that route? Assuming that number, crunch those numbers and.
Well, if you have 180 days, that's like $1 in the morning, $1.
Can you guys speak up, please? We're having a hard time hearing back here. Thank you.
I said it's basically $1 each way, $1 in the morning, $1 in the afternoon. I mean, it's 180 days times 2, it's 360. So I mean, $1's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
A that doesn't cover the cost, I don't know.
Have we had interest before from people within a mile and a half to ride the bus?
That would be a transportation. Mr. Leone, do we get calls for people requesting transportation within a mile and a half?
I had one.
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say, I know when I was at East, we did not. They just walked down Colorado.
All right, so we have this recommendation. I'll jump on the second rail on this just because I have to. The other part of this was the idea that, which was, I think it was included in the memo, if I remember correctly, the number of students that actually take the bus.
Right.
And that worked out to, and the risk, because I like to use round numbers, about 40%. So 40% of our total student population are involved in transportation. But yet, we are obligated, or at least attempt to create routes that may include 100% of our student population. So the second part of this question, they can be, I mean, obviously you have a recommendation to consider, but I still have to advocate for the consideration of the second rail of this discussion, is the idea of trying to get the other, or the 100% that we're currently creating routes for, of which 4 of 10 are only using, to make some form of commitment that they want the transportation so that we don't have to create routes or an expectation around the 60% that are not. And that could be done one of two ways. It could either be done through a nominal revenue pay, and I could use Ron's math because we've done the math. If you did it at $100, $50 a semester, that would be 25 cents one way, 25 cents back is actually 26.3 cents based on the 178 school days. Or, you could just ask them to commit. But in either case, it could potentially give Mike and his team the ability to say the other 60% that don't commit, I'm not creating a route around. And I know there's time limits and bus, capacity, and there's a lot of other components on here. And then there's the exception of the one-off. What if all of a sudden I need to ride the bus and I didn't sign up? Can I get like a one bus ride pass or whatever? And those are great details, but I think those are details in solving to the exception. And so I just we could vote on the motion or the recommendation that's in the package saying, hey, if they're within a mile and a half and they want to ride the bus, it's now available and here's the cost. But I also think that we have a responsibility to evaluate something that if 10 people are eligible and only 4 are using it,